What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another segment of physical skill development. Today we're going way back to the very basics of how to do some basic skills to develop them correctly in case any of you are working on them or struggling with them or want to improve them. I'm going to show you some tips you can do to improve the most basic of basic functionality. The most simplest things we do. The hammer-ons and the pull-offs and the legato moves that follow. I'm going to show you some ways to either improve what you're doing with them or just get you going from the beginning if you've never done hammer-ons and pull-offs, and specific exercises to develop them. I think there's a lot of people out there that just start playing the hammer-ons and pull-offs and you just start working on them. But there is actually a technique to the madness, and there are different things you can do to either improve your skills or make them better, or clean up your playing at the very least, or just better ways to practice to make learning more efficient so you're not spending as much time. Because I'm a very, very firm believer that anything on the guitar you're doing should never, ever, ever take more than a complete season to master. And a season, as we all know, is 3 months. So if you need more than 3 months with something you've been working on diligently, then I believe personally, you're probably not practicing it in the most efficient manner. Because I was a slow learner and I never needed more than a season to master something. And what I mean by master is that I can play it cleanly at a fair amount of speed and use it in my playing comfortably. That's mastering it to me. If you want to go beyond that and just practice it at crazy speeds, well, then you'll just need more practice. But in a season's time, you could be using the technique you began learning 3 months ago and be using it in your playing regularly with confidence in 12 weeks. That's my own personal belief. I don't think it should take any longer than that. I just don't think it should. It never has. And for me, and for a lot of people, it hasn't. I don't think it should take more than 3 months. Maybe, give yourself a little extra time, maybe 4 or 5, but it shouldn't take a year. It shouldn't be like, hey, I've been working on this for 10 months and I'm still not where I want it to be. That's incorrect, and that's just wrong. Something's not right there. That's like you're saying, like you're getting 8 miles a gallon with your car when you know it gets 15. Something's clearly wrong. Your tires are flat or something, right? Your brakes are riding. So it's not right to be saying that you're in there more than 12, 13, 14 weeks trying to do a technique. If you practice the thing regularly, how many times do your fingers have to do it before it actually begins to do the thing well? It shouldn't be, 15,000 times, 30,000 times. It should be over the course of a few weeks, you're doing it consistently, and you see routine progress because you're doing it in a correct manner that works for you. And so I'm going to show you some ways starting right now that will help you improve whatever it is you're doing regarding hammer-ons, pull-offs. And then we're going to get into the legato moves as well. So the first thing I want to explain is that we need to learn to smack the finger down, and then we're going to use a graceful light touch afterwards. But first we're going to learn to beat the string up with the finger. So when you do a hammer-on with any of the fingers, I'll start with the first finger and second, we want to learn to smack the finger heavy and hard. So it doesn't matter if you down pick them, up and down pick them, whatever. You're getting us on the left hand here. If you're all lefty, if you're a typical righty player, you're using your left hand. Otherwise, you're lefty using your right hand. Either way, this finger's got to get hit hard. So you back it up and you practice whacking it down. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, I tell you to dot your fingertips. I suggest doing that, putting a dot on the very highest point of your finger where you want the string to go through your finger. I would put a dot there, right through where that line is, a little dot with a marker, so you know that's where it's training yourself to land. And that's where I'd be landing. Now, what you're working on for all the fingers is being able to hit it strong. So definitely being on the gain channel will make this easier than if you're on a clean channel. If you are typically a clean player, then if you want to stay there, that's fine, but you need more strength to make it ring. Because the gain is just going to lend itself to make this sound easier. You move to the next finger, it's just a very simple exercise. But in the beginning, you may not be able to get that strong, heavy hit, and that's what you're struggling to get. So typically when you throw the finger down heavy and you're just starting out, you will probably miss. You do that. You'll do a bunch of that. You're gonna have to bring your hand from this, bring it around, so you're on your tips. And if you slowly have to bring it in and land on that string and teach your finger where to land, then do this. If you're that far back where you're just starting out, then put your fingers on where you want them to be, and then because your hand is forward, your fingers won't. If you're down like this, they'll lift out, and that's bad. If they're forward like this, they'll lift out like this, and that's good. When they lift out like this, they don't lift that far. So you can go, you can bring your pick in and go. And the finger won't come out. It won't come back that far. And you're training it now to stay close to the neck. Okay, so you're out like this. Your finger backs out straight, like this. But when you come like this, your finger swings like a hammer. And that's shitty, crappy, and bad. And you stand no chance of being good if you're doing that. You should just give up the guitar then, because it's not going to work for you. And I'm being serious. If you're not going to develop good technique, then there's better things you can do with your time that you probably enjoy better, because you're not going to enjoy yourself if you're just a bumbling fool. And I'm saying that to anybody who doesn't care to have the good technique. So if you're not valuing these things and you're just kind of whiffing through them and you're not paying attention, then you might be frustrated with the guitar because maybe your technique is not allowing you to play it well. So you're thinking maybe either you're not a great player or guitar is just too hard or it's not worth the time. And I get all that. And that's if your technique here is not correct, then all that could be true for you. So you need to be on the fingertips and the hands got to be out front. And I know it might be difficult, but you're going to practice holding this. And if your wrist gets tired, then you just take a break. Come over and work on some of these exercises over here. When this hand gets tired, immediately move to a right hand exercise like this. And when you do any exercise like that, to make the exercise more challenging, you reduce the amount of time on each string. And you just keep working it. And when your hand is better over here, you got blood in it again, you come back over and you continue. And you move on, and you move forward. So that's the idea there, is to get the smack. First, you got to hit the fingers on the tips, back it in, smack. You may not even be using the pick yet. You may just be doing this to teach the finger where to hit. And then once you start getting an idea if that you believe it's going to start landing in the same spot every time, then you can start whacking it with the pick. Now a trill, if you don't know what that is, some of you already do. If you don't know what it is, it's just a repeated hammer-on and pull-off move. We didn't get to the pull-off yet, but when you do the trill, you're going to wind up getting the pull-off. So when you do the hammer-on, you can either stop and do the pull-off and flick it off. So the pull-off means you're going to pick the two notes first and flick this finger off. See that? So you're picking down, you're getting the note, and you're pulling it off to hear this other note. Now, it doesn't matter if you get two strings to ring or one. It really doesn't matter, because you'll get one later on when you get a little better. So the idea is to put it on the guitar and just do a little flick to pull it off. Flick down and out. I'm flicking down and out at the same time. If you just flick down, you're going to run into the next string. So you got to flick down and out. Yeah. There's the hammer-on and the pull-off combination. So for you guys that are newer, there it is. You're going to do this. Hammer it down. You see how you need the strength to make it whack? That's why you don't even worry about picking it yet. Just get this. This is all you need to do to practice the technique. Because you want the control, guys and gals. My guitar champions, anybody watching this, you want this control. That's what you want. You want that control, because once you have that, everything else comes along no problem. But without that control, everything else is a problem. So you want that control first. Now, when you get that down and you can get the pull off, you might even learn to do the pull off by just starting with the hammer on and letting it ring and pulling it off. Essentially, that's a trill when you stop using your pick, because trilling means, like, you know, basically means you're not using your pick anymore, because I don't think this would be called trilling going. Right, just be a hammer on. That's a hammer on and a pull off. What makes it a trill, folks, is when you stop using the pick. That's your trill. It's just multiple hammer-ons and pull-offs without the pick. You get a momentum going. All right? Now, that's single finger usage. Are we good? Ready for a little break, a little snack? Everybody go pause it, go have a smoke break, take your cigarette outside, have a smoke break, and go, whew, guy covered a lot in 11 minutes. I got to put this thing on pause. Because we're going to move into the 3-finger segments right now if you're coming back after these messages. Okay, we're back. Anyway, vibrato always helps your moves, in case you see me doing that, like when you see me doing that a lot. Vibrato just adds something to your playing, a texture, a level of something. It's smoother, it's filling in somewhere. It just takes away a lot of dead space, and it just sounds good. So it's just something I do a lot. I encourage you guys to get really good at your vibrato moves, because you're going to use them everywhere. Stuff like this. Just start working on that vibrato stuff. Oh my gosh, look at that. See that, guys? Right there. Fixer right up in front of you. Only takes a second. Now, back to the part 2, now that we're back from these commercial messages of how to tune your guitar. Let's get into the 3-finger movements. So we're going to be doing legato and hammer-ons and pull-offs with the 3-finger motions. I'll show them to you a little at a time. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get the 3 fingers down. So we're going to be smacking twice. So it's a smack and a smack. It's either second and third, second and fourth, or third and fourth. What you're going to do is practice, and again, you don't even need to pick. You're going to go. That would be the first thing you want to be able to do, is just, and then do the other finger. If this pinky doesn't make noise and it's weak, then hold down this finger first and do this. Just working it. Don't worry about the sound. It'll come as it gets stronger. Just be able to have control over the finger, that it lands in the right spot on the string. That's all you care about. Don't worry about the sound or how hard it's going down. That will all come and grow as you get better. But if you can't even get it to land in the right spot, well, that's what you're working on, because that means you're okay and you're showing signs that you'll be just fine. So get that down. Now, if you can't do it with the third finger, then get that finger out and put the second finger in, because it might be easier, because there's more room to move the pinky, because it's not as when this finger is down, there's less movement for this pinky because it's closer to lock. The other finger is locking it down closer. But when you remove this finger and put the second finger down, you got a lot more room in the hand to move to get that pinky up. So you might be easier putting your second finger and first down and doing this, going. So you got to learn to do a pull off with your pinky, guys. Now you're going to smack them all down slowly. If you want to start by hitting the string, you can. Now you can leave it there and start over again. Or you can try to do the full pull-off move, which is going to be pulling down after you smack them on. Even if you have to do this, so do it. It doesn't matter. Just do it any way that's going to make your fingers get in and out of there. Move to the next one. So again, you're smack, smack, pull, pull, smack, smack, pull, pull, smack, smack, pull, pull. You don't need a pick. If you want to put your hand on the bridge a little bit to just mute the string a little bit, you can. But again, you see my hand, I'm out like this. I'm not like this going. That's just sloppy garbage, right? You need to be like this. And if you can't do it like this, then you have to start at the beginning and learn to hold your hand like this so it gets strong enough to hold this. Then you can start doing the basic, one finger at a time. Because you have to develop the ability to move your fingers while your hand sits like this. Otherwise, pack it up and go home, folks, because you stand no chance of being good at 3 fingers on a guitar. If you're doing 3 strings at a time, then you got to have your hand out like this, because I don't even think you'd find one single player that plays it like this and can do diatonic moves like that. I don't even think you'd see some. I don't think you could find anyone, because I don't think it's even possible to be able to play like that. So if you're playing like this and your hand's like this, and you're waiting for the day of, thinking as I practice it'll get better. Not if your hand's like this. You're lying to yourself. And if you don't know you're lying to yourself, well, now you know you're lying to yourself. This is never going to get better at anything, except maybe some pentatonic moves, because you need to dig into the strings, right? So we've seen that in other videos. But let's be real. This is not the same as this. 2 different things. This is the 70s style, before they really used diatonic patterns like this. So it's a different way of playing. They're 2 different things, It's like saying automatic and stick shift. They're not the same. They both get the car moving, but in 2 completely different ways. Same thing. They both get you playing the guitar, but in 2 completely different ways. It's different than. Okay? Not the same thing. This requires fingertips and hand out front. Fingertips out here, playing on them, and your hand out front. So if somebody is writing on the back of your wrist, they'd be able to see the message that you're leaving them. Now, we're going to move into another segment of 3 finger movements with hammer-ons and pull-offs combined for the trill movement that you just saw. What you have to be able to do is, if you want to start that move, even if you're a beginner, you just start with slow hammer-ons and then slow pull-offs. But you have to accent every single note like this. If you don't accent every note, you're just going to get mud. So I don't even know how to produce mud unless I just really don't pay attention at all. So what you're trying to do is just get repetitive, clean hits. Again, we're back to that beginning part of the video where you're working on going. Right? Now you leave your hand back here and you won't maybe hear it so much. You won't hear that. Right? That's the skill you need. Then you just repeat that skill, each individual finger. You'll get it. It just takes a little bit of time, but even less time if you learn to use your metronome, which I will get to another video on that shortly. Now, this move here, you're just going to do on, off, off. On, off, off. On, off, off. Now, I'm going to say this very clearly and slowly so you understand that I don't want to forget to say this to you. And I think I mentioned it in the beginning. You got to start out whacking them hard to train where to hit them and build strength into the fingers. Because when you whack them hard, that's going to give you the ability later on to play fast and lighter, because that's what you want. You want to go lighter as you go faster. So in order to do that, you have to have control. And the control comes from being able to hit hard and not fast. The harder you can hit it and still land in that spot proves you have the control. Now you lighten up how hard you're hitting it, and like a baseball bat with the donut, all of a sudden you're going to go, wow. Because now you're not putting so much pressure down. You need to put the pressure down to build the strength into the fingers, and then when you have the strength from hitting them so hard, you learn to hit them lighter and use the speed. You develop speed from the strength you've built. And if you don't have the strength, you never built it, you can't release it in the version. You can't release it as speed. You're going to convert that strength into speed, basically, is what you're going to do. So it's going to be an on, off thing. And if you're doing that, well, then you're only like 1 second away from tapping the thing with a finger tap, because you just add the finger as another legato hammer-on note, on, off thing. On, off, off, right? So now we just add the extra finger, and it's on, off. On, off, on, off. Just becomes a repetitive thing. And then we get into crossing the strings. So I'm not going to go fully into it because it's a whole nother video, but I will give you something to work on towards it. You lead in with the ring finger, the middle finger of the lick. So if I go like this and I want to lead to this, then it's going to be this. See that? You lead with the finger in the middle. So if it was these two, then I'd be leading with that one. So it's like this. Then you come up with the ring, then the pinky, then the tap note, then you back it all out. And while you're backing it, while you're removing these off, you're putting this one first finger down. That's how it works. Now if I can see it for a second. That's what it is. And that's all you got to do. You got to learn that pattern of sequence. It's on, off. And there's a simple way to add to your legato style, which is just simply. And without the finger that's tapped, if you want to roll across the whole box, we'll use the A Dorian box here, right? In the key of G major, A Dorian, second pattern. We'll lead across this box with the ring finger all the way, because there is no second finger in this pattern, so it makes this a really nice pattern to learn how to rifle across all 6 strings in that legato style. Here's how it goes. I'll do it once through, nice and slow. Oh. It is a little easier if you don't cross the string so quickly and you sit on a string and then cross when you're ready. It's much easier. Now, usually when you're playing something, you'll just be in the middle of playing something, and then you'll convert into that going. And then you'll continue on doing whatever you're doing. So once you learn to move, these moves of this hammer-on thing, this little legato lick, then you got to practice getting it into your songs. And that is the big question I get all the time. So I'm going to wrap this video up with that last technique. How do you slip that thing into something when you're already moving? You must learn what's called a transition move. And every single thing you do that involves that technique or a technique, you have to create yourself the transition move. So I'm going to show you how to create a transition move that is so you can create one specific to whatever move you're doing. I'm going to show you how to make a transition so you can do it with whatever thing you're transitioning from or to. So to get from the move to the chord, you want to practice the move that gets from the lick to the chord. So it's the end of the lick into the beginning of the chord sequence. That would be your transition move. You can make a simple practice transition move like this. From lick to chords. Even if you sat on the string and just did a quick, fast little thing, and then jump to a power chord sequence. So you're going to slowly go like this. When you're on this finger, you're going to jump and reposition to correctly get on that chord, and then whack the riff. Bring it back down and begin to practice going from the chord down to the 3 notes. To the 3 notes. To the 3 notes. To the chord. To the chord. It's the transition from here to there, or from to there. Wherever you're stopping the lick, to the chord, or to whatever you're doing. But we're gonna keep it to these moves now. So simple pentatonic move, and here, get to the chord. So then you're going from here to there. Or from this time I did it from here, because usually I'll go from the first, because I want to lead with the first finger, because that's where I get the greatest chance of making the move with the least amount of error if you lead with this first finger. So I won't lead from there and typically go like that. I'm more from here. I lead because I'm following the lead finger the whole time. If you lead with the first finger, it's harder to go wrong. Or from here, if you're going to the E chord after the lick, then you're going to get this chord back to this here, this finger. See, there's a transition from here, that last note, to that. This is how you make transition moves from the lick to the chord, or from the chord to the lick. If you're down here and you were speeding up and down a string, and you're going to go get right to that note, and then from this chord, you get back to the note. So there's your transition move from here to there. So maybe you got to move that finger slowly to learn to land there. So that you can learn to go. There's your transition move. If you want to do this little lick, then you got to get from here to the move. So you look at the guitar, your eyes are looking here, your eyes are then looking here, you're on the chord, then you're looking at the guitar, you're placing the 2 fingers down, and that's what you're moving to practice getting them into the spot. So this would be your transition move from here, picking them up and getting that pinky out now. See, my first and pinky are already out. I'm bringing them over. I'm going to drop them where they got to go. That's your move. You're working the transition from this to this. So you can not even use a pick. You just keep going like this. And once your brain understands what you're trying to do, you put it into action. Then you make that transition a little faster after 20 times of doing it. Once you get this move out and you get to this spot and you do your move, see if you can get back to the chord quick. Now get from the chord to the move. Now if you're going from the move to the chord, now you put it all together nice and slowly. Right? There to there, there to there. That's your transition move. Practice stuff like that. Get there to practice getting to the 12 as fast as you can. Right? That's what you're working on. Just getting from the end of one spot to the beginning of the next, and vice versa. And those are transition moves. That's what you're looking to do with everything that you're going from something to something. It's in between the 2 moves. You got to master that. So you got to figure out what it takes to go from this to that. And that's all it's going to be. And there's different transition moves, and we can go, I'll throw some in here and there in different videos. But you're getting the idea now. So if you have your own particular thing, you're like, I can't switch from this chord to that chord. Okay, then if it's a B7, let's just say, and you want to do one of these jobs, you can't get this B7 over to, the E7 maybe. You got to recognize that these 2 notes are the same. So the transition would be this to this, really to that. Just dropping it out and then bringing 1, 2. That's your transition move, 1, 2. Or 1 to the G, to the D. So it's like you got your G chord. The transition would be pick up, 1, 2, 3. Then the transition to the G is 3, 2, 1. And then you're thinking 1, 2, 3. And then 3, 2, 1. And then 1, 2, 3. That's the transition. If you do this without strumming, you'll be able to get this switch a lot easier. Because I get a billion guys that go, look, I can't switch off a D. I can play the G and switch to anything from G because I'm on the G already. Well, I want you to be on the D if you're new and get to the G. 3, 2, 1 to 1, 2, 3. That's your transition. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Because then when you're strumming, you'll be able to do this. But this is harder while you're strumming. And you can't think of it at the same time that you're trying to think of the strum. So it's 3, 2, 1, transition to 1, 2, 3. It's just a transition move. That's all it is. When you learn to create your own transition moves, you can figure out what it takes to make that move work for you, and then you're not going to get stuck anymore. Because every time you hit the little roadblock to get you stuck, you can get yourself out of it very quickly. And guys, that is today's video. That's enough information. Take that and soak that in like a sponge. And I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching and subscribing, and I appreciate you guys for trying to share my videos, help the world out. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video.